The time is now for Jaxson Dart and the New York Giants. We're examining the road ahead and several other big headlines across the league today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app.
Joe, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy on the program. Lots of news yesterday. All kinds of moving and shaking, late morning, early afternoon, job changes, injury updates, college and pro. Raise your glass for John Mateer. It's my guy. He's going to miss a couple weeks. Some early reports indicate maybe he's back for Red River rivalry, which is Texas in 3 weeks. If not, we'll see in a month. I'm definitely not keeping my eye on the quarterback market for the draft after we did our show yesterday to talk about the veterans. We're going to start with a quarterback change in New York today, though, where Brian Daboll did the thing. And this was always our question. Like, you watched Jaxson Dart play well in the preseason, and the question was, how long are they going to do the thing and fulfill the promise they made to Russell Wilson when they signed Russell Wilson that he was going to be the starting quarterback in New York? And your answer is 3 weeks.
3 weeks, Kyle. And I mean, two big thoughts that I have about this transition, not necessarily where the offense is going, but where it's been. First of all, 11 of 40 so far on third downs, your Giants offense.
That's bad.
2 of 10 scoring touchdowns in the red zone.
That's also very bad.
Hopefully Brian Daboll can smile again. I hope that happens. They scored 6 against Washington. They scored 9 against Kansas City. So you know there's been a problem, but let's not forget they played another game where they had 500 yards and 37 points against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas defense? Wow. Are they bad? I know that we're talking about Jaxson Dart replacing Russell Wilson, but we have to pause and realize how different that game was compared to the other two. Dallas has got problems on defense. So Jaxson Dart steps in, Russell Wilson terrible. Wow, imagine that. Like you haven't watched the last 3 years of this guy's career. Stepping in,
I think it was Colin Cowherd had to take, like, nobody went from like superstar to nobody wants to coach this guy to Russell Wilson. What a fall off. I'm like, it's been like this for 4 years with Russell Wilson. Then the whole Let Russ Cook campaign was about Seattle knowing what he was.
Exactly. And I think your conversation with Kurt Warner maybe last year was very revealing to me about when established quarterbacks go to new places and how, these places that they were very aware of who they are and how to build and how to not build around them. And now you start to get into new situations where you're not as keenly aware of that stuff. And you saw the limitations and not much of an appetite to stick with them, right? I mean, this is 4 teams in 4 years.
Can I call time out on that real quick?
Of course.
You talk about established players and going somewhere else and not knowing how to build around them. Is there a better non-quarterback example of that in the NFL right now than what just happened with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson?
Yes, that's a good call. Not because the guy can't make plays on defense.
Right. But because he got to Houston and was like, hey, this Jalen Petrie contract's crazy. I should be doing these things. I'm better at him than Jalen Petrie. He's like pocket watching his contract. He's complaining about his role. Texans had him for 3 years, paid him like $8 million or 3 weeks, paid him $8 million for the season and said, no.
They just restructured the deal. And now he's cut.
It's always such I think the part of my football philosophy and team building perspective that has evolved the most over probably the last 2 years has been how I view talent allocation and acquisition from a pro scouting perspective. Man, there's a lot of landmines out there, and it is not as simple as
right.
Here's a good player, Adam.
Right.
Because it's like hiring a head coach, Brian Daboll, and I'm saying this to bring it back to the Giants, not to slander Brian Daboll, but Brian Daboll, his experience in Buffalo with an elite quarterback in Josh Allen, and then you transplant Brian Daboll into New York and say, hey, we want the same thing. The Dolphins did it when they hired Joe Philbin, and he was the OC in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, and he even called plays. And they're like, yeah, we want your offense. Right? Like, it's the same thing, but that exists at every level, whether it's players or coaches or executives. And man, it's what makes what we do on this show, I think, a lot of fun. But the transition for Russell Wilson, if you've watched the tape the last year in Seattle, like, this should not have been a surprise. And this was always the writing on the wall was, hey, the Giants got a really tough schedule. Russ isn't going to execute the plays as they're being asked to be played. At some point, Brian Daboll is going to get desperate and facilitate the change to do the only thing that he has left in his back pocket to buy himself a longer leash and more optimism to continue to stay at the head of the football operation. And it came on September 23rd. He played the card.
So his first start, Jaxson Dart's first start, comes in New Jersey, taking on the Chargers.
I guess it's a home game.
Yeah, it's been a defense in LA that's been really good so far this year. I don't think you would look at this and say, yeah, this is the perfect time to do it. But I don't think you can think as much about the opponent as you can your own football team. Like, it's the NFL. There's good teams and good defenses that you have to be able to deal with. And I thought Russ, in the way that he executed against Kansas City, put Brian Daboll on a position where if he wanted to be taken serious,
you're not giving anybody else a chance to be successful with how that offense was being run last week.
Right. And I mean, it was a year ago that Darius Slayton, who re-signed with the team, pretty much said that another year for Brian Daboll would be unwarranted. You know, like, he had to do something to galvanize his football team. And I think there'll be some grace for Jaxson Dart in his first start against the Chargers. And then you get a road game against the Saints. And then it's the NFL. You get the Eagles. You get the Broncos. You get the Eagles again. Like, that's just how it goes, man. There's nowhere to hide in the National Football League. And I don't think preseason means much. But I do think you can look at Jaxson Dart's preseason and have a level of hope. Not necessarily on what the outcome's going to be, but in his capacity to do it, right? Just functional things like lining up, getting in and out of the huddle, adjusting from what he was asked to do in college. And like, he was very good in the preseason. And I think it's just a matter of, hey, Russ can't be it, and you're 0-3, and everybody's always looked at Brian Daboll as kind of a make or break year. All right, well, you got to do something here to galvanize the troops. And you drafted this quarterback, and if you're going to have a chance to develop him and see it through, you better get him on the field and get him playing well.
Right. I go back to last year with New England and their change with Drake May.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And it was kind of the same thing where they made the change after the loss to Miami at home, and they had the Texans coming to town. And we kind of had the same talking point about, like, oh, do you really want the first start to be against the Texans defense? And he had 3 turnovers, and 2 of them came early in the game. And it was like, man, the vibes are bad, right? They end up losing by 20 points in that game to Houston. But he takes over the rest of the way. He actually builds on it pretty well the following week against Jacksonville. Now, they only score 16 points, but he's got a passer rating of 110 and completes 70% of his passes in the second game. And that's the game that comes on the road. So I'll be interested to kind of monitor first start opponent versus first start home or away. Like, And I haven't done the legwork to go back, but that's something that as I'm reflecting on, hey, now's the time. We got a home game. Tough opponent, tough assignment, sure. But we're at home. Like, how much does that weigh into the decision for some of these coaches when they make these decisions to make these transitions? Because Drake May, a lot of the feelings that I have about the matchup that Jaxson Dart's going to have, I had last year with Drake May in Houston.
Well, there goes Kyle Crabbs afternoon. He'll be researching that, I'm sure.
No. I will be in front of a camera talking nonstop this afternoon. So,
all right. Well, we'll continue being in front of a camera talking nonstop here on the other side of it, where we got to talk about this Nick Bosa injury, but I also would love to have a little conversation about the next quarterback who could be benched in 2025. I have some thoughts there. We'll get into that here next, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel it. You can feel that Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from those metallic accents to the available Nappa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to all the intuitive controls. And I love this. All-wheel drive is standard in every crossover SUV. So you can feel that confidence in every drive through almost any season. Like football players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Kyle, I have 7 quarterbacks that I think are in danger of being the next one benched.
7. This is more compelling than the first coach fired conversation, which is getting very compelling, as we're going to talk about in segment 3 with what's going on in Tennessee.
A little bit of desperation should be. All
oh
right.
My goodness. All right. So next quarterback benched.
Yep.
Is Michael Penix on the list?
He's on the list.
And it's not been inspiring.
No, right? He's played at a level that forces us to have that conversation. But then there's also Kirk Cousins and a team that you felt like could go somewhere this year, right? Like, could you imagine if this comes back to Kirk Cousins running this offense?
It would actually be very funny, because like all summer, like there were a couple of Falcons fans. I wrote a few things for A to Z about like the Cousins situation. And obviously we were speculative of whether or not they were going to hold on to him or not and guarantee the 2026 money. And then they did hold on to him. It's like, is this really a good idea? This feels like sunk opportunity cost here. And it's just wait until a quarterback gets hurt. That's their plan all along. They're going to trade. Well, we've got like a half dozen quarterbacks that are hurt right now, and Kirk Cousins is still the backup quarterback in Atlanta.
Might need to resume starting. We'll see how long that leash is.
The next, where are you going from here?
Wow. Look, I have 6 more, and Kyle's like,
yeah,
I don't know who it could be. Want me to start tossing names?
Just throw some names out there. Yeah.
How about Jake Browning?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
What's the alternative?
I'd say Mike White, baby. Mike freaking White. They signed some other veteran to their practice squad, if I'm not mistaken.
Wasn't it Ritter?
We don't have to guess.
Believe...
Our friends at Our Lads know the answer to this.
I'm pretty certain it was Desmond Ritter.
Brett Rippon's the QB too.
No. Ritter went to Minnesota, so it's not Ritter.
So Brett Rippon's your rostered other quarterback, and then on the practice squad, you have Sean Clifford and Mike White.
Oh, Sean Clifford was the one that they signed.
Yeah.
I'd probably rather play Rippon than Jake Browning. Like, Jake Browning had, like, the fun stretch of the first month last time Joe Burrow got hurt.
It's not been fun since, though.
Right. Like, we're kind of caught up.
Yeah.
Did you see the Jamar Chase, like, next-gen stats, like, routes and touch chart?
Yeah,
from week 3.
You can't do the same stuff, man.
Well, they didn't. They everything was horizontal.
Right.
Everything was like 2 yards downfield.
So he's a candidate. How about this one? Bryce Young. He's been benched before. They have Andy Dalton, who's not a cheap backup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously a 30-0 win that they're coming off of, but I don't know that you point to Bryce Young and his play as a catalyst for the reason why.
They're averaging 4.7 net yards per attempt through 3 games.
Just saying, it's a possibility. How about Joe Flacco? Not necessarily because of anything that you expect or don't expect from Joe Flacco, but you do have some younger quarterbacks that you might want to get a look at.
I think the biggest selling point is if you can get Dylan Gabriel in with the ability to move the pocket.
Yeah.
I think that would really help relative to Joe because they just had DeJuan Jones go down for the year.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, they already have a regressing line. And they're at 4.5 net yards per attempt. They're somehow worse than Carolina. And there's another team that's lower than that. that only ranks 31st in the league.
Boy, I wonder if I'll have that quarterback.
Yeah,
on
let's
my
find
list.
out. I'm gonna do all of them
because I have three more. How about Spencer Rattler? And not that hasn't been completely terrible, but you did draft Tyler Shuck, and it was a battle up until the very end. There,
they're also averaging 4.7 net yards per attempt. So
we got some teams that have passing yards per attempt like they're running the ball, man.
Yeah,
it's bad numbers. How about JJ McCarthy? Has it already been a soft benching? Some people are saying that. He's been horrible except for one quarter.
JJ McCarthy is averaging 5. He's over 5.02 yards per attempt. Although that's not net yards per. It's 5.08 net yards per attempt.
Last one I have down is Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, man. I think the finances make this one difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins averaging 5.5 net yards per attempt. So they're the kings of what was that band? Kings of Leon. They're the kings of Leon here. If Leon is teams that don't average a lot of net yards per attempt. He has
somebody.
Right. That's right. I'm glad you got the reference.
Yeah, I know the song. What's that, Chris Schubert? I knew the song, buddy.
You know we're gonna get a text too.
I know. He got us on the Billy Joel one a couple weeks ago too.
I think for Tua, the concern is that the execution of the offense in year 4 of the offense has regressed. And I know Dan Orlovsky said the things that made Tua, like we need to get back to doing those things.
Yeah.
And I know part of the focus this offseason was like, we got to add more clubs to the bag, right? Yeah. Like the drop back rate is exponentially higher. The play action rate, I think through 3 weeks is 18%. They're one of the lowest play action rate teams. And some of that is game script related, I suppose, right? I mean, you blink, your third possession, you're down 3 scores to Indianapolis. Your third possession against New England, you're down 2 scores. So I'm sure that's a piece of the puzzle, but just I'm not even going to talk about the interception against Buffalo that became like NFL quarterback Zapruder film where everybody had like
right.
a different opinion on
right.
the mechanics of the coverage versus the route spacing versus the read and this and that. I mean, the coach and the quarterback couldn't even be on the same page after the game. McDaniel said the ball's got to go to the flat. And Tua said, I read the flat defender go over top of Waddle. I'd try to work that concept 10 times out of 10. In the post game. Like they didn't talk about it on the sideline after the game. So if they can't be on the same page, I don't expect the analysts on the outside to be on the same page. The finances make it hard because it's not only his 2025 salary that's guaranteed, it's his 2026 salary that's guaranteed.
I mean, I agree with you, but in a world of reclamation quarterbacks that we talked about yesterday on the show, and Zach Wilson's right here on a 1 year, you said $6 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
I might want to find out. I don't want to let that contract expire, him go somewhere else, and then him be Daniel Jones or Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold.
I don't think he'll be the next one. Now, if there's been durability stuff, but if you get to week 15,
sure,
and your season's down, I think that's the scenario where, like, if your season's down, you probably have a coaching firing. You're probably going to want to see that other quarterback play. I think that's the recipe for Zach Wilson to voluntarily be put into play right now. But make no mistake about it. Like Tua has played thus far in 2025 what all of like the 2022 narratives were of who he was as a player. That like, if you watch the film, you could see like, oh, there's more here than what like he's generally given credit for. He's a fun guy to punch down on social media or whatever. He's actually looked like this season the player that he was being chastised for being casually in 2022.
Did you have another one here on the yards per passes at Fields? Should I have mentioned Fields?
Oh, Jets is probably a great call out. I don't readily have it on hand, but they're at 4.9. So I need to figure out who it is. I need to go to the Pro Football Reference and sort by that. I can do it on the break.
All right,
And then
so
we
we're
can
going
get to Bosa, and then the coaching desperation moves on the other side of the break.
Stick with us. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Check this out. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because I can bet however I want, whether that's spreads, over-unders, player props, same-game parlays, or even betting live as the action unfolds. It just makes game days more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to your game days. And I've been having a lot of fun lately getting in on some anytime touchdown scorers. A couple guys I've hit lately on 2+ touchdowns. So check it out. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
What a lovely segue. Because the team that's dead last in the NFL in net yards per attempt, averaging 3.5.
It's the Giants. It's got to be the Giants.
3.5.
That's bad rushing offense.
Net yards per pass attempt is Brian Callahan's Tennessee Titans.
Oh, baby. Woo!
The Giants are getting boosted up here by this performance against Dallas. They're at 6.2. They rank 13th in the NFL.
Boy, that's tough, Kyle.
3.5, a whole yard worse than the next worst team. They're like a whole extra standard deviation off the chart from everybody else.
Yeah. Getting close to relegation here, put them in a different league.
Well, they relegated some coaches. Brian Callahan turned down his own play calling duties, but said in the press conference when they announced that this decision was made earlier this week that he had no issues with his play calling. He said, I have no disappointments at all with my play calling, but I'm not going to be the play caller anymore. So I can be more present in the game day detail and operation. Did we even talk on Monday about the end of first half exchange?
All-time bad.
57-yard field goal queued up.
Can you go back though? He kicked the 64-yarder with 5:38 left in the second quarter with Joey Sly.
You had both teams take a timeout in the final minute and still took a delay game because you ran the field goal kicking team on late after consecutive timeouts.
Yeah.
And they didn't they not snap the ball because they didn't have the kicking ball out?
I mean, they had their offense out there.
They missed the field goal, and then the Colts go get points before half.
Callahan's over his head, man. Completely over his head.
Doesn't know what the catch rules are. Multiple incidences of this kind of game management stuff. And this is, Joe, it's just setting up for the latest example of we're going to fire one half of the football operation. They've done it like 5 straight years now.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because they just switched over their GM. So they won't be synced up. Yeah,
and Borgonzi just traded Jarvis Brownlee as a 5th-round draft pick at corner yesterday to the Jets for a pick swap of picks that was worse than the pick that you used to get him, and he looks like a good player with 3 years of rookie contract left.
I like Brownlee. I like him a ton. Yeah, but you know how this goes. Man, he didn't bring him in, so.
Not my guy.
Not his guy. Yeah, I don't see that going well. And then it's going to be Cam Ward. And for Cam, it'll be like, I don't know, how many different offenses in his last 5 years of his career?
So the one he went from Incarnate Word to Washington State
was the same, actually.
They brought the OC with him.
Okay.
So that works out in his favor. But it's very different, right? Like your offense, your execution is very different. So now you're trying to find a coach to optimize his skill set, but probably looking for something off of a similar tree with similar terminology. And that coach is coming in with a GM that's been here 1 year
It's bad.
And getting married to a court, like, that's a whole other conversation when we're talking about like adjusting philosophies for ideologies, right? But that is an unenviable situation to have put everybody that's there involved in. And what, he's 3-17, not only 3-17 outright. He's 3-17 against the spread. Like, even when you try to handicap their game.
Jeez, is that true?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Yeah, so give up play calling. I mean, maybe resign if you want to get the Titans. I mean, you could smell this on him last year. You could smell the bad coach on him last year. And temperament issues. He's over his skis, man. So I'm here for them doing things differently. We'll see how long he lasts, but obviously concerned about the long term and direction and what it all means for Cam Ward.
Oh man, and two of his 3 wins as a coach have come against the Snoop Huntley led Dolphins in week 4 and the Patriots in overtime in week 9 last year.
Glad the AFC East can fuel the resume
it's
of Brian.
You and me against the Jags in 21.
Right, it's the Urban Meyer thing. We gave the guy 2 of his. He have 2 of his 3 wins. Or
did
we give them both? Good Lord. Good Lord.
And then the only other win that the Titans have, Will Levis put the Superman cape on and they beat the Texans 32-27 last November. So they're making a play caller change, which realistically it's the coaching equivalent of a players only meeting, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a performative measure as much as anything, especially when the coach says, I don't think I was doing bad with calling plays. They're not the only team that's made changes this week, though. We have Atlanta fired their wide receivers coach, and they're taking offensive coordinator Zach Robinson and moving him from the booth to the sideline. What do you think of that?
Well, when you get shut out by the Carolina Panthers, who give up all the points in the world, you know, you ask yourself some questions. Obviously, the things have not gone well for Penix to start the season. They've been kind of banged up in the O-line and then, of course, at receiver as well. But I think they're looking for something to spark, right? I mean, you got an opportunity here to get to 2-2 ahead of the bye. And, you know, there's some expectations on Atlanta this year. So, obviously, this isn't quite as sweeping as what we saw with the Titans. But, I mean, if you didn't believe in
get kind of ugly for Atlanta as I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing some good teams coming up.
Washington. So Jane Daniels' situation obviously could evolve that. Bye week, Buffalo at San Francisco. There's a segue for us into Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
The next 3 games.
I mean, you lose all 3 of those, you're 1-5.
Yeah. And the win came against the McCarthy Vikings.
Yeah.
Where they kicked 5 field goals in that game. Am I remembering that correctly?
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
So San Francisco is one of 3 undefeated teams left in the NFC. Just found out that Nick Bosa is out for the year. Torn ACL. It's the 3rd time he's torn his ACL. I think you go back to high school, you go back to college. Or no, it was early in his NFL career.
Yeah.
And it was 2020 and then 2025 is the most recent incident. San Francisco, one of 6 left undefeated teams. They're short week at LA Rams and then at Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 6 after this week's contest against Jacksonville. And I kind of think Jacksonville is a compelling matchup for them. I think Jacksonville matches up pretty well against San Francisco.
Mac Jones revenge game.
Presumably. Well, they kind of teased Brock Purdy could potentially go last week and then ultimately did not. So I don't want to be presumptive on the Mac Jones element of this, but I mean, Jacksonville runs the ball well. They're top 5 in EPA per rush.
They've been taking away the ball like crazy, right? That's the thing with Jacksonville. 9 takeaways, 3 in each game. It's like 28% of drives are ending in takeaways for their defense this year.
It's been outstanding so far. So
it sucks for the 49ers, dude. I mean, 3-0. Their defense has been playing great under Saleh, and that was like your stabilizing piece for a young front, right? All those young players on the D-line. Like, Bosa was your glue piece. He's your star and your glue piece. And, I mean, the injury luck is never good with the 49ers. And this, I mean, let's just be honest, this absolutely sucks for them.
It does. And I think it changes things. Now, Mykel Williams, I thought, played well in week 3. But the ability to bridge without Bosa long-term, I think it changes a lot. You know, I'm sitting here listening to the Monday Night Football broadcast about the liberties that the Lions give Aiden Hutchinson, right? You can line up wherever you want. You really do whatever you want. Go make plays, right? Yeah. Bosa has the potential to be that kind of impact player. And I think what the 49ers have with the rest of their front, I think you're going to lose some flexibility with how you line up. Because it's Mykel, but then it's Bryce Huff, you know, and there's differing skill sets versus a guy that can do all of it.
What's up, Trey Hendrickson?
He's paid.
I know, but the Bengals are bad.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That could be a really compelling. Like, if the wheels fall off the Bengals, because they just pushed it down to a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
Joe, you just came up with a new content idea.
Wow. 31 minutes into this podcast, I had a compelling thought.
No, a compelling thought to build a whole show off of.
I'm kidding.
Which we could probably do after week 4? You want to do like, hey, we're halfway to the trade deadline. Who are some teams that should probably be having some of those hard conversations about what are we?
Kyle's going to talk about Tyreek Hill.
Well, so that's a whole can of worms because you have to make some football operation changes before that happens.
Yeah.
They're going to be, they were 2-6 last year and got back to 8-8, right? They're going to, we could do it again. Try not putting yourself in 2-6, but that'll be the selling pitch unless you make some changes, I think, to your executive and coaching situation, because they're going to want the players there to try to save their jobs. Cincinnati,
no,
stable as stable can be, right? Like, it's been the same group for forever.
Right.
So I think there's more compelling conversations with some different teams. And maybe the Titans, as they continue to.
One thing Titans don't have to offer is a pass rusher.
No, not a pass rusher, right. But what are the players on that team?
Sell? Yeah. Those sellers and buyers will declare themselves here. Yes, absolutely.
So maybe next week you have that to look forward to. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino, locked on NFL Scouting. We appreciate you guys checking the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We are out of here. We'll talk to y'all again soon.